Good afternoon. My name is Tina Petersen. I am the Executive Director of the Harris County Flood Control District. I appreciate the opportunity to address you, Judge, and the commissioners. I know you have asked us to talk through some of the impacts of this budget. The Flood Control District has a long backlog of deferred maintenance, but in recent years, there's been progress towards addressing that backlog. But more investment is needed, not less. Failure to address these types of maintenance issues that we're seeing in our channels can put critical infrastructure at risk. Our channels, when they're constructed, have an intended capacity. As they age, erosion begins to occur, we have sediment begin to accumulate, and those impacts reduce the ability of those channels to convey water downstream. In addition, failure to address erosion can be serious enough to impact private property or even impact exposed pipelines and impact bridge abutments, which can be a very serious and dangerous situation. I would also note that the Flood Control District must demonstrate that we maintain our channels and we maintain our infrastructure in order to be able to qualify for federal funding after a disaster. And so by not performing maintenance efforts, which that's going to be the bulk of what is impacted by the potential budget cuts, we would be at risk of being able to demonstrate that sufficient maintenance. And then I would also note, just from a citizen perspective, we get a lot of comments from citizens about concerns that they see along our channels. We would not be able to be proactive in addressing their concerns regarding, erosion or dangerous trees that exist along our channels because we won't have sufficient funds to do that. I would also note, in terms of vegetation management, that's the other side of our maintenance efforts. So we have a lot of maintenance efforts where we have to address problems that have occurred, and we also have the opportunity to address problems that we don't want to occur by being proactive. And our vegetation management program is really about being proactive. So mowing the channels to make sure that we don't have invasive species, that we don't have woody undergrowth that begins to encroach on our channels. But if we're not able to mow, which is a possible impact of this budget reduction, we will not only have those impacts, but our citizens may be impacted by their ability to use the trails because the trails become overgrown. And then the final thing I would highlight is, in addition to the cuts for maintenance, we also would see, based on our projections, we would have to not only reduce maintenance, but we're going to have to do an across-the-board reduction for our budget. And one of those budget impacts would be to pay for staff augmentation for our bond program. And so that means that budget, when cut, would provide less resources to provide the support that the Flood Control District needs to keep those projects moving forward, and could potentially slow projects down, or we may have to look at some other alternative towards to get that work done, like capitalizing those expenses on the bond. We would really have to look very hard at that, because obviously keeping the bond program on schedule is critical, but with this reduction, we would see challenges.